Greetings and good day, and welcome to Journey Across the Arc, the podcast that looks at the people and services provided by the Arc Allegany-Steuben. I am your host, Gregory DeGraff. Joining us today is Melissa Spinelli, who is in charge of the RISE program at Alfred State College. Welcome, Melissa.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Gregory.
So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Melissa Spinelli, like you mentioned, and I started with the ARC 17 years ago, and I started out as a college mentor, which is in some ways similar to the RISE program. It was just on a smaller scale, and you worked one-on-one with students, which was wonderful. But the downside of that was we weren't able to grow that program because we needed one staff for each student. So with the RISE program, we're able to serve more people and provide more services that way by, kind of spreading our wings. And we have our location on the Alfred State College campus. Alfred State has been amazing, and they have really helped us take this program to another level. And RISE has been around for around 14 years. I have only been a part of it, full-time for about 5 years, but the program in itself has been around for longer than that.
All right. So what exactly is the RISE program?
So the RISE program is for students with different disabilities that want to pursue their education. It stands for Reaching Individual Success in Education. And when the College Mentor program basically ran out because it was a grant, for a few years there was not a program where students that wanted to go to college could be supported by a staff person in doing so. So there was a few years where students weren't able to go to college if they lived near us. And so then the RISE program was built from the ground up by Kathy Newton and Christina Lyon, who was my supervisor at the time, and Melanie Ryan from Alfred State College. And they basically toured different colleges that were running something slightly similar to what they wanted. And they, learned how the different programs worked, and then got together. I think it started 2 years before the program was built. So it took 2 years to just get everything together, get the logo, talk about where they would have this service, and get everything running.
What made you want to get involved with the RISE program, and how about students with such disabilities?
I think really this started many years ago when I would go into the classrooms with my own children, and I saw that there were students in those classes that needed a little more. And with the help from myself and other parents, if we helped out in their classrooms, then the teachers were available to help students that needed more one-on-one attention. So that is kind of what opened my eyes to understanding that there are students out there that need more. But with the current education system, even, starting out in elementary school, there's only so much the school can do. They need to have those parents volunteer. And so when I saw an advertisement in the paper for a college mentor, I thought to myself, well, what actually is that? What do they do? And so when I learned about the program and applied for it, I was just amazed that there was a program like that to help students that could not normally go to college. It could help them reach their dreams because we provided the transportation for them to do that, and we were with them through test taking and all of that. So we really became an integral part of those students reaching their dreams. And that is one thing that is so great about RISE. We help them through all of that. We help them with the note taking. We help them with internships, work-based training, getting their name out there. And it all starts small. It starts from a small piece, just from the first day walking in the door at Rise to understanding that there are dreams that they can fulfill by going to college. And it's not just getting, that education through college. It is those social pieces that a lot of students really want. But until they get involved in a program like Rise, they might be missing out.
Now you have mentioned the work-based trainings and such, but what other activities do you do at Rise?
So we get the students involved in volunteering on campus. Anytime they have, freshmen coming in like this time of the year, we volunteer our services. Just about 2 weeks ago, the students were helping doing laundry, and they had like a student overnight program. So they had a lot of beds that needed to be made and stripped down and laundry washed and folded. So we volunteered the whole RISE program along with 2 staff to help Alfred State College do this huge task of laundry for all these incoming freshmen. And that was something that these students, this particular group of students, had not helped with before, but other groups of RISE students had done this before. So I knew that the students could do the task. It was just a matter of making sure that I was reaching out to the right people, getting hold of Melanie Ryan to make sure that she could help us with that. She is the Alfred State liaison, so she helps organize all these things that we do. We also do work-based training at places like the campus store, the dining hall, the student needs hub, and in general, anything that we see in the Alfred State email where they're looking for volunteers, we raise our hands and, reach out to try to become part of the community. And a lot of the students that I have right now have been there for 2 to 3 years at RISE. So they're able to help the other Alfred State freshmen just, become acquainted with, the directions on campus and how things go. And our students actually this week are going to become part of what they call the Week of Welcome on Alfred State campus. And they are going to be enjoying different activities like making sunglasses and whatever other events, that they choose to take place in. I think there's like a Build-A-Buddy, kind of like a Build-A-Bear craft. So they like to do those things, with the other Alfred students. And that way they can make new friends before the semester really even starts.
All right. That sounds pretty fun. So do the students who attend RISE have majors? And if so, do you assist with their classes?
That is a great question. So what we do right now is students have certain classes that Melanie and I enroll them in so that they can learn life skills, social skills. One of the first classes is actually a life skills class. And so they work on, managing their time, making sure that they have that school and life balance, because it can't all be about school. You have to allow yourself that social time with your friends and making sure you get enough sleep. So life skills is a really important class that we like to enroll them in early on. They also are enrolled in various psychology and sociology classes, so they can learn more about themselves in psychology class. That is an amazing class. You learn, from the development all the way through, your lifespan. And that is a really great way for students to learn about themselves. And of course, sociology, they're learning about their community. They're learning about their neighbors. And some students have specifically asked for certain classes. One of them is American history. That is a class that a lot of the students have really liked. And then what I think is a really neat class that a couple students specifically asked for was 3D animation. Some of our classes, some of our students really enjoy technology and learning more about it. And I happened to notice that and wondered, well, will this be something our students will enjoy? Will it be something that's, really so difficult that's going to be hard to grasp? But we started a really good, working relationship with the professor that taught that class. And she was able to allow our students to do 2D animation. And so they were doing flip a clip on their phones and submitting that to her for their grade. One thing that's important to note is RISE students participate in up to 4 years at RISE, and it's a certificate program. They're not getting college credit for the classes. However, if they ever decide that they want to take a course for college credit, they certainly can. They would have to fill out that lovely FAFSA, things like that, because at that point they would be a paying student when they're in RISE for that, up to 4 year period of time. They are not a paying student. So it's, at the end of that 4 years, if they stay for the whole 4 years, they get a certificate that's signed by Alfred State and by RISE. So that's how that works. But they are never discouraged from branching out. If they want to take a course for credit, it would just mean that we aren't with them in that class, taking notes and helping them with assignments. They would be responsible for that. What we currently do at RISE is we are their note taker, help them read aloud the test questions. So they would have to just understand that they would be giving up something. But we're not discouraging that by any means.
That sounds very good. Is there a way for students who aren't a part of RISE to get involved in the program?
Well, the way they would, the only way they could do that would be if they're an Alfred State student and their major is humanities. We do have the relationship with Alfred State where I do accept interns. So that is how I get the interns. And those are really the only other people that are, generally allowed in the classroom, unless it's somebody giving a presentation. But usually that is the only way I can think of that other people would be able to get involved in RISE. However, we do on Fridays participate in the Incredible Voice meetings where we tune into the meetings and do that virtually. And for an hour of the day, the students are participating with, other locations of the ARC, whether it's, in the Steuben County side or the Allegheny County side. There's actually somebody from New York City, I believe, that joins the Incredible Voice meetings. But that is something that we, group together, band together with other people that, that are getting services or, they're caretakers even.
Right. And if you want to learn more about Incredible Voice and the self-advocacy stuff, check out our first episode.
Kristen Babbitt. She's your girl for that.
Yeah. So how does someone join the RISE program?
So usually what happens is people are looking on our website and becoming aware of what services we offer. That is one way. Or they are in their life plan meeting with their care coordinator and again trying to see what services are out there. And there's information about RISE on our website, for the agency and the care coordinators, whether it's PCS or Prime Care, they have information on RISE. And then at that point, they contact me, either the care coordinator or, a lot of times the parent or relative of somebody that is enrolled in OPWDD services. And I get a little bit of information on what they're looking for. And then I request that we do a virtual meeting. And in that meeting, I give an overview of what we do, in a day of RISE. And then we go from there. If it's something that they're interested in, then at that point, I send an application. And, just to give you viewers a little bit of information, we do job readiness skills and life skills at RISE so that we're working on preparing preparing them for, expected employment in the future. And a lot of the information is on the website, but, always, a good thing is, you can contact me. My name is on the RISE application on, 585-808-9283. That's the RISE phone number. And we really offer a lot. Like I mentioned, the classes that the students audit, volunteering and work-based training, but also the fun things that we do are the field trips. We've gone to Corning Glass not long ago, the Mumford Museum. We've gone to the Animal Park, Hidden Valley. We've done that. And the students usually every couple years have a fundraiser that's associated with Alfred State College, and it starts on the Alfred State College campus. And they raise money that they set aside to help pay for the field trips that they do. So that way they're not having money out of their own pockets go towards like a park, entry fee, things like that. Because we like to be understanding, everybody has a different financial background. And if students can earn some of that money so that it doesn't come, right out of their pocket or their parents' pocket, then that obviously, it's a plus.
Sounds very nice. So, are there any stories that really highlight what the program has done?
Yes, one story, and I'm not going to say names. I'm just going to say one of our past students. He was involved in different programs, and he tried college around 20 years ago and was unsuccessful, but he did try it. And then for many years, he wasn't aware of the program, that was out there. RISE has been around for 14 years, but he didn't know about it. So he tried it a few years ago, and he was so excited that he was able to fulfill this dream that once he got enrolled in college, there were days that he was so excited he was in tears almost, because he just felt that this was something that he wasn't going to be able to fulfill this dream, this goal of his. And he did. So that is one exciting thing. And a different student, when he started RISE, he thought that he wanted to work with plants and animals, which is great, So we decided to, help him pursue that. And then we just noticed that he had so many skills that he wasn't really aware of. We started helping him really discover where some of his strengths were. And by the time he had graduated from RISE, he had done things like washing dishes, which he never thought he would be able to do because of his physical disability. But we assisted him with this. And he was very excited that this was, something he did not ever consider. And in addition to that, he had a lot of general skills that you would have as a secretary. He could organize files. He was really good on data entry and, actually looking at the information he was entering in his work-based training and, making recommendations. And so we got him in a totally different career field. And it was something that he didn't even know that he was good at. But by sticking with the program for 4 years and trying all these different, work-based training and volunteering opportunities, he learned that he had so many skills. And all he needed to do was continue to try different things. And so I consider that a success.
Are there any misconceptions about people with disabilities that you wish to challenge through RISE?
I believe that there are a lot of misconceptions. One thing that I've noticed is a lot of times people underestimate the students in our program and the students in other programs. And they feel that if somebody has a disability, that maybe they won't work as hard, or maybe they don't understand things. And that isn't true, I have found. It's really that they just might need to be taught the task in a different way. And then they can learn it. But you have to first figure out their learning style and how they learn. Because if you don't know that, then you don't know how to teach it. And I think that really that is, the biggest part of what we do is figuring out how can this, student do this task. And a lot of times it's just breaking it down into smaller steps and not being afraid to, to have our students try things that they haven't tried before or that they didn't think that they could do. And a lot of times just trying this in a smaller, quieter place, they can reach their dreams and then be able to do some of those tasks on a bigger stage. But it's all first being able to understand how they're learning.
So is there any way people can support RISE?
There are many ways, Gregory. What a great question. So for those of you that don't know, Gregory assists me with what we call Rise Talks videos. And that is our way of getting students to first know each other and be comfortable with each other. And so if you happen to get on our social media sites, such as YouTube and Facebook, you can support our students by watching their videos and then by acknowledging that you've watched them and telling your friends and, just getting the word out that, we're on the Alfred State campus. We've been there for 14 years. We have wonderful students. And another way is every couple years when we have a fundraiser, if you would like to participate that way. The last time we sold these really nice bracelets that say RISE program and Alfred State College, and these helped our students go on some of their field trips this summer. So, and, just supporting us in general, just if you see one of our students, just acknowledge that you've seen their videos, things like that. Gregory and I have been doing those videos for, I think, 3 years now, right around there. And we have had so much fun. I think I do have a favorite. I don't know what your favorite one is because we have over 20 of them, but my favorite is probably when the students interviewed Big Blue, who is the mascot. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. That one was pretty fun.
Yes, it was. And the great part about that was our first video that we really connected, RISE students with the Alfred State staff because we have somebody that we know very well that was in the Big Blue costume. And we have Professor Swanson from Alfred State, being the interpreter for Big Blue. And it was great. You were filming. Our friend Paul, who helps us with some of the filming and helping us with some of the different techniques from Alfred State, he was helping us. It was so much fun. I love that. It was a great time. And that was one of our, that was our first collaboration, but we have had more since then. We have. Yeah.
So like Melissa said, you can check out those other videos on the YouTube page or on Facebook. Melissa, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Gregory. It was a pleasure. I love talking about RISE. It's one of my favorite things to talk about.
You're welcome. So if you want to check out those videos and catch more episodes of Journeys Across the Arc, make sure to check out the YouTube or Facebook, whichever you prefer. And thanks for joining us today. And we will all see you on the next journey across the arc.
Don't forget to rise above.
Indeed.